Great Tribulation. What's the peculiarity? I read it to you already. Let's go back to Mark chapter 13. Mark chapter 13, and we're looking at verse 19. Mark chapter 13, verse 19, the peculiarity of that great tribulation. You will not be here. You must not be here at that time. Look at the peculiarity. For in those days shall be affliction. What's affliction? That's suffering. What's affliction? That's pain. What's affliction? Destruction. What's affliction? Something that causes untold, unquantifiable pain. For in those days shall be affliction, such as was not from the beginning of the creation which God created until this time, neither shall be. That's the peculiarity. In Joel chapter 2, reading from verse 2. Joel chapter 2, reading from verse 2. Joel the prophet is telling us the same thing. He's saying it will be so peculiar. It is nothing that had never happened. Well, we know that suffering had happened in the world. The terrible things of sorrow happened in the world. But this will be so peculiar. It had never happened like that before. A day of darkness. That's Joel chapter 2 verse 2. A day of darkness, a day of gloominess, a day of clouds, a day of thick darkness as the morning spread upon the mountains. A great people and a strong, there has not been ever the like. That's the peculiarity. There had not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. The peculiarity of the Great Tribulation is that this is a peculiar suffering. This is particular suffering. And this is special suffering that had never been and will never be. You will not be here at that time in Jesus' name. But you know, it will happen to the whole world. It will cover the whole face of the earth. Look at Zephaniah chapter 1, reading from verse 15. Zephaniah chapter 1 verse 15. It says that day is a day of wrath. A day of wrath. A day of trouble and distress. A day of wasteness and desolation. A day of darkness and gloominess. A day of clouds and thick darkness. When you put everything together, trouble, distress, wasteness, desolation, darkness, gloominess, distress, and darkness, you know, it's a terrible time. That's the peculiarity of that time. Look at verse 18 of that Zephaniah chapter 1 verse 18. Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath. It's the day of wrath. But the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy. For he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land. Actually, as you look at this, it mentions in that verse, it says it's the time of the Lord's wrath. The time of the Great Tribulation is the time of wrath. But let me show you this. We're looking at Revelation chapter 6. Revelation chapter 6. We're looking at verse 12. In Revelation chapter 6, reading from verse 12. And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black. You remember the description of Zephaniah? The sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. And then in verse 13, it tells us, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And then in verse 14, it says, and the heaven departed as a scroll. That's the sky. The firmament departed as a scroll. And when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. Verse 15 now, verse 15 says, and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. Verse 16 say, and he said unto the mountains and the rocks, fall on us. The devastation will be so much fall on us. It's like people are walking in the mine, and there are walls of that mine, and they're down below, and something is happening on the surface, and it's so terrible that they're wishing that the wall of the mine, of the place they're digging something, will fall on them and bury them there. It will be so terrible that the kings of the earth and the princes of the earth and the great men and the free men and the slaves and everybody, young and old and poor and rich and the enlightened and uneducated, that they will want to go into the rocks and the mountains, and they will tell the rocks and the mountains, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne. And look at this, and the wrath from the wrath of the Lamb. From the wrath of the Lamb. The time of the Great Tribulation will be a time of wrath. The wrath of God, the wrath of the Lamb. And then in verse 17, it says, for the great day of his wrath has come. The time of the Great Tribulation is a day of wrath. It's a period of wrath. And it says, for the great day of his wrath has come, and who shall be able to stand? But let me show you something. On the one hand, the wrath of God is poured on the earth. On the other hand, even Satan comes with devastating wrath. We're looking at Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. Revelation chapter 12, verse 12, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in heaven. Look at that. Rejoice ye heavens. What's that? Ye angels of God in heaven rejoice, and ye living creatures in heaven rejoice, and ye that dwell in heaven. Who are those? Those are the people who are raptured already. They are raptured. They are taken away from this world. They are in heaven, and then the voice is saying, rejoice because you are not on earth. At the time of the wrath of God, rejoice because you are not on the earth. You have been raptured. You have been taken to heaven. Ye that dwell in them, in the heavens. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth, not only Jewish people, not only a section of society, but woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knows that theirs but a short time. The wrath of God on the world at the time of the Great Tribulation, the wrath of the Lamb on the world at the time of the Great Tribulation, and the wrath of the devil. When all those weighty wrath and anger come together, I pray you'll not be here at such a